Hello and welcome to this media chat this beautiful Valentine afternoon. Alberta's government is creating 600 more new seats for nurse bridging programs and investing in a new bursary for internationally educated nurses. We've got the Minister of Advanced Education, Demetrios Nicolaides, join us to take some questions. Good afternoon, Minister. Thanks for joining in.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's, and we're coming to Valentine's in a minute, Minister. I'm just curious right now, what was it necessary for your government to put in additional 50 million of new funding for international trained nurses?
Well, I think the explanation is very simple and straightforward. We've come to learn that there are many internationally educated nurses who simply are unable to practice at their full skill level, either because of financial barriers or because of long wait lists to get into the required bridging programs at our universities and colleges. As an example, when we made the announcement yesterday about the $15 million new investment, we also heard from a recent graduate of the nurse bridging program. Her name was Uche. She had come to Canada several years ago from Nigeria and had to wait about 5 years before she could get into the program at Mount Royal University. And of course, the consequence of that is that even though she was trained and educated as a nurse back home, back in Nigeria, she wasn't able to practice at her full skill level here until she completed that program. And so I think that, we can all agree, if we have individuals who want to help contribute to our healthcare system and want to create better opportunities for themselves, we have to make sure we're giving them those opportunities.
Absolutely, Minister. Absolutely, Minister Nicolaides. I'm just wondering, you mentioned Uche, and it seeps into my next question. Initially, the press release was that your government was helping people from the Philippines to become nurses in the country. So I'm delighted so what you're saying in essence, let me put it as a question, that this funding is not just from people from Asia or the Philippines, it's actually for everybody, including people maybe from Nigeria, Ghana, Zimbabwe, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, what we announced yesterday was a commitment of $15 million that we are planning to spend in the upcoming budget. The budget will be tabled on February 28th, and of course, the budget needs to be debated, but should that budget be passed and approved, then we will have the ability to provide that $15 million. And it's going into two key areas. The one area that it's going into is to fund more spaces in nurse upgrading programs at our universities and colleges. And a second piece of that is going to create a new bursary. And the new bursary will be made available specifically for internationally educated nurses from any country of origin. It's not limited just to internationally educated nurses from the Philippines. It's open and available to any internationally educated nurse. And any internationally educated nurse that applies for and is accepted to one of these bridging programs, they will automatically be eligible to receive up to $30,000 of financial assistance over 5 years to help them cover some of the costs associated with tuition, books, living expenses, and other financial barriers that may be able to get in the way. So yes, these supports are available for any internationally educated nurse.
Thank you, Minister. I'm just wondering, when we talk about this in the news globally amongst our friends, I'm hearing that the problem is actually not getting these nurses, it's actually retention of nurses. I'm wondering what your government is doing to retain nurses within the first 5 years of their profession, sir.
Yeah, I think that's a very important part. And with the new bursary that we've developed, we are also including a return of service agreement. So for every $6,000 that an individual receives as part of this bursary, they have to commit to providing 1 year of service to the province of Alberta. So of course, if it's $12,000, then they'd be looking at providing 2 years of service. But of course, that's one piece of the puzzle when it comes to retention. There are other pieces that need to be explored. I know just very recently we had completed negotiations with nurses over salaries, and we're able to provide increases to nurses in that capacity. And as well, the Ministry of Health and all of us in government are always looking for new ways to help ensure that we're attracting, and yes, to your point, also retaining the best and brightest right here in our great province.
Thank you, Minister. And one can also ask, at this case, really, I get that healthcare is priority at this stage, but I'm just wondering, what about teachers? You're Minister for Advanced Education, and forgive me, this was not in the advanced question sent, but is there a plan to organize such a thing for teachers and perhaps even lawyers, given that these are, or even doctors actually, these are essential skills needed in our beloved province?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I'm looking at within the Ministry of Advanced Education is looking at the number of spaces that are available at our universities and colleges. And what we're also doing is looking at some of the labor market forecasts. And we're able to see projections that in a number of different areas, such as in healthcare, construction, engineering, aviation, tech, and other parts of our economy, that we're projected to have shortages, and we're projected to not have enough people in these key parts of our economy over the next few years. So one of the things that we did last year in budget 2022 was that we invested $171 million over 3 years to create 10,000 new spaces at our universities and colleges to train more nurses, more healthcare aides, more folks in aviation, in tech, and in a variety of different areas of our economy. I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to continue this effort. As I said, the budget for 23-24 year is coming out at the end of February. And I hope at that time we'll be able to talk a little bit more about some of the other things that are contained in the budget to help create more spaces to meet this demand.
Thank you, Minister Nicolaides. I'm just wondering now, as Minister for Advanced Education, what more you are doing to remove barriers and limitations generally for international people. I know we have some money we've planned, but it needs to be approved. But could you, because of your portfolio, are you able to talk us through some of the things that maybe you've done that we don't know, or you're intending to do that we need to know?
Yeah, well, one of the other things that the government has done going back to 2019 is working closely with regulating agencies and authorities. Oftentimes when new Canadians are coming to Canada, they have to get their credentials assessed, and sometimes they can be waiting for a long period of time or even years to hear back as to whether or not their credentials meet Canadian standards or whether or not they would be required to pursue additional training. So this has been a priority since 2019 to work with those groups to try and speed up the process so that individuals are not waiting for years and years to have their credentials assessed, so that they have greater clarity in a faster way about whether their credentials are accepted or whether they will need to pursue additional training. And this has been done under the banner of what we call fair practices. And I think it's critically important to ensure that new Canadians are able to practice at their full skill level. And that has been a priority since 2019. what we've announced yesterday regarding expanded supports for internationally educated nurses is just a part of that. I know my colleague, the Minister of Health, is also looking at supports and options for internationally trained doctors. And because I think more broadly, we really want to encourage and see some of the best and brightest from around the world come to Alberta, make their home here. There's great potential to earn a high and live a high quality life, and so we're really excited to do what we can to help more people find a great home in Alberta.
Minister Nicolaides, I was told you only have 15 minutes. Out of the 15 minutes, we've got 4 more minutes. So we need to make a move on. You talked about credentials just before this. And again, my apologies, this did not feature in the advanced questions, but you mentioned credentials. So I've got a follow-up question. Immigrants from English-speaking countries are mandated in Alberta or in Canada to take an English-based exam, which expires every 2 years. Are you aware of this, sir? Okay.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. So are you working in any way to maybe reduce or remove this limitation or barrier? Because when you've studied primary, secondary, university, and post-secondary in English language, and then you have to take an exam to show that that you speak English, and you have to retake that exam in 2 years, and you're still in the system. I feel it may be a structural barrier, and I'm wondering what your government is doing about this, sir.
Yeah, we're looking to to make the process easier and simpler. As I mentioned, of course, there are challenges. There are some pieces that are under the direct control of the provincial government, other pieces that are under the guidance of different licensing and accreditation bodies, and also other pieces that are under the responsibility of the federal government. And so I think it's important for all three groups and other groups to try and work together as best as we can to remove these some of these barriers and obstacles. As I mentioned, from an Alberta government standpoint, we are looking to speed up the credentialing and assessment process. We are looking at providing more supports for internationally educated nurses and others to help fast track their ability to live and work in the province.
Minister Nicolaides, I must ask you this question though. What is your government doing? Maybe it already exists and we don't know, to support people who want to retrain and are not nurses. Is there like a fund they can maybe borrow money, interest-free money from? Or I don't know. Have you maybe thought about this? There are teachers, there are lawyers, and so a plethora of professions and occupations who perhaps need to retrain. Is your government thinking about supporting, or perhaps you already support them and we don't know? What are your thoughts?
Sure. We do have within the Ministry of Advanced Education, we have a lot of supports available for individuals that are participating in the post-secondary sector. It of course depends on what the individual is taking, and if they're taking full-time or part-time studies. But there are student grants available. There are scholarships. There are student loans and all of these other instruments that are available to help any individual with their post-secondary journey, whatever that journey looks like.
Minister Nicolaides, over the weekend, a poll came out that said your party was 3 points ahead of the Alberta NDP, put the UCP at 48%. As your party won this election, sir?
Well, the government of Alberta and myself, of course, are focused on making life more affordable for our Albertans and helping to deliver stronger results in our healthcare system. Those are the priorities that we're focused on, and of course, on election day, we'll see what the voters have to say about our accomplishments over the past 4 years.
Minister Nicolaides, it's Valentine's Day today. Do you celebrate Valentine's, sir?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, I have two little girls as well. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they've been very excited the past week leading up to Valentine's Day, creating little cards and little hearts and getting candies and getting candies to take to their classmates at school. So it's definitely something that we're celebrating.
Okay. Will you be doing anything later today with the missus, maybe? Fancy restaurant like your Sam is going to?
Well, no, no detailed plans yet. We'll see. I know my oldest has usually likes to order that heart-shaped pizza that you can get on Valentine's Day. So I think, as a fairly recent father, as I mentioned, an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, I've come to learn that my schedule is not really my schedule anymore. I have to take direction from those two about what they'd like to do, because they seem to have their own plans and their own ideas. I mean, just last night, my oldest daughter was telling me that we have to have a Valentine's Day party tonight so she can invite her cousins and her friends from school, and I said that that may not be very possible at last minute, but I try to just go with the flow and go with what their plans are.
Oh, that's so sweet, Minister. Um, Demetrios Nicolaides, you are the Minister of Advanced Education in the province of Alberta. I genuinely hope you invite us back. We've exceeded our time, but you've been so wonderful. I don't know why I was terrified about this video chat before, but look at that. That has gone so well. And I'm sure your Sam and Catherine will be pleased with me too. So I wish you a very happy Valentine's, sir, and hopefully you'll invite us to do this again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, look forward to it. Thanks for having me on. Happy Valentine's to you and to all those watching as well. And look forward to being able to connect again in the future.
Thank you very much, Minister. Please have a happy Valentine too. Goodbye.
You as well. Bye-bye.